The inheritance letter sat unopened on my desk for 3 days. Not because I was too busy. I just couldn't bear to read my dead father's last words on my birthday. But Ryan made that decision for me, barging into my home office with his usual air of authority. Adeline, we need to discuss your father's estate. He didn't bother knocking, just stood there in his pressed suit, reeking of expensive cologne. I gripped my coffee mug tighter. I'm working, Ryan. This is more important than whatever marketing campaign you're designing. He picked up the envelope, turning it over in his hands. Your mother's worried about you avoiding this. Of course he'd use Mom to get his way. That's how Ryan operated, always finding the pressure points, the weak spots. I snatched the envelope back, my fingers trembling slightly as I broke the seal. I'll read it myself, thanks. We're family, Adeline. This affects all of us. Family. Right. Because marrying my mother 3 years after Dad died made him my father figure. I unfolded the letter, my eyes scanning past the legal jargon until I found the numbers. The coffee mug slipped from my hand, shattering against the hardwood floor. How much? Ryan leaned forward, not even pretending to hide his interest. That's private. I tried to fold the letter, but he was faster, plucking it from my fingers. His eyes widened as he read. Jesus Christ, 5 million, tax-free? Give it back, my voice cracked. Ethan's startup needs capital. Ryan's tone shifted, becoming smoother, reasonable. Your brother. Stepbrother. He's family. And this kind of money, it's not just about you anymore. We need to think about what's best for everyone. I stood up, coffee spreading around my feet like a dark stain. Get out. Don't be childish. You're 24 now. It's time to think about. I said get out. The words exploded from me, shocking us both. Ryan's face hardened. Your mother will hear about this attitude. We'll discuss this tonight at dinner, as a family. He placed the letter on my desk with deliberate care, then straightened his tie. Happy birthday, by the way. After he left, I collapsed into my chair, hands shaking. Dad's words blurred on the page through my tears. The letter wasn't just about money, it was filled with his hopes for my future, his pride in my independence, his trust in my judgment. And here was Ryan, trying to manipulate it all away before the ink had dried. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Coming over with cake. Ryan says you're upset about the letter. We'll sort everything out at dinner. Love you. I stared at the message, my throat tight. She had no idea what her husband was planning. Or maybe she did, and chose not to see it, like she chose not to see so many things about Ryan. Another text came through, this time from Ethan. Hey sis, heard about the inheritance. Can we talk? Alone? I didn't reply to either message. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching trust lawyers. If Ryan wanted to play games with my father's legacy, he was about to learn I wasn't the naive little girl he thought I was. Dad had taught me better than that. The broken mug lay forgotten at my feet, coffee seeping into the floorboards. Like Ryan's poison, spreading through our family. But unlike my mother, I could see it clearly now. And I would stop it, whatever it took. I picked up the letter again, running my fingers over Dad's signature. I trust you to make the right choices, he'd written. You've always been stronger than you know. Time to prove him right. The birthday dinner felt like a carefully orchestrated trap. Mom had outdone herself, filling the dining room with candles and flowers. But the warmth couldn't mask the tension crackling beneath the surface. Sweetheart, Ryan tells me you're having trouble processing the inheritance. Mom passed the wine bottle, her smile tight around the edges. We're just trying to help. I poured myself a generous glass. There's nothing to process. Dad's wishes were clear. About that. Ryan cleared his throat, shooting a meaningful look at Ethan. Son, why don't you tell your sister about the startup? Ethan shifted in his chair, pushing food around his plate. It's a tech thing, app development. Show her the projections, Ryan pressed. Ethan pulled out his phone, but his hands were trembling slightly. Something wasn't right. I'd seen my stepbrother pitch ideas before. He was usually confident, passionate. Tonight, he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. We're looking at a potential valuation of, Ethan started. 8 million within 18 months, Ryan cut in. Conservative estimate. Your investment would triple, Adeline. I took another sip of wine. And if it doesn't? Don't be negative, Mom chided. Family supports family. Exactly. Ryan leaned forward. Which is why I've already spoken to my lawyer about drawing up the paperwork. Just a simple transfer of 2 million. The wine glass froze halfway to my lips. 2 million? It's a reasonable ask, Ryan said smoothly, considering the potential returns. I turned to Ethan. Is this what you want? Before he could answer, Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it, his face darkening for a split second before he excused himself from the table. Important client, he muttered, but I caught the name on the screen. Sophie. Adeline. Mom reached for my hand. Your father would want you to share this blessing. Dad wanted me to be independent. I pulled away, watching Ryan pace in the hallway, speaking in hushed tones. He wouldn't want his money funding some vague startup without proper documentation. There's nothing vague about it, Ethan protested, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood up. Excuse me. Bathroom. Instead of turning left toward the bathroom, I slipped right, following Ryan's voice. He was in his study, door slightly ajar. Not now, Sophie. Yes, I know the deadline. 2 days, maximum. She's being difficult, but I'll handle it. Just stick to the plan. My heart hammered against my ribs. Plan? Deadline? Everything okay? I spun around to find Ethan standing there, his expression unreadable. You tell me. I studied his face. What's really going on with this startup? He glanced toward the study, then grabbed my arm, pulling me into the kitchen. Listen, I can't. Dad has everything mapped out. He says, your father says a lot of things. I yanked my arm free. But I need to hear it from you. Is this startup even real? Ethan's silence was answer enough. Adeline? Mom's voice carried from the dining room. The cake's ready. I walked back in, my mind racing. Ryan returned moments later, all smiles again, but I saw something new in his eyes. Desperation. I've been thinking, I announced as Mom lit the candles, about the startup investment. Ryan's smile widened. I knew you'd come around. I want to see the business plan, all of it, and I want my own lawyer to review everything. The smile faltered. That won't be necessary. My team has. It's non-negotiable. I met his gaze steadily. After all, family supports family, right? So you'll understand why I need to do my due diligence. Mom clapped her hands. See? We can work this out. Make a wish, sweetheart. I looked at the flickering candles, at Ryan's carefully controlled expression, at Ethan's guilty face, at Mom's hopeful smile. Then I closed my eyes and made my wish. I wished for the truth. And I had a feeling I wouldn't like what I found. Happy birthday to you, they sang, their voices discordant and strained. As I blew out the candles, I caught Ryan checking his phone again. Another message from Sophie. The cake tasted like ashes in my mouth, but I smiled and played my part. Let them think I was considering their offer. Let them think I was the naive daughter they could manipulate. They had no idea what was coming. The laptop screen cast a cold glow across Ryan's financial documents. 3 hours of digging through his startup proposal had revealed nothing but smoke and mirrors, empty projections, circular references, and a maze of shell companies that led nowhere. My phone buzzed. Ethan again. We need to talk, not at home. I texted back the address of a coffee shop across town. Time to see how deep this deception went. The cafe was nearly empty when Ethan slid into the booth, dark circles under his eyes. He pulled out a USB drive with trembling hands. Dad doesn't know I have this, he whispered. It's everything. The real numbers, the emails, his meetings with Sophie. Sophie? The name from Ryan's phone. Who is she? Ethan's laugh was hollow. His investment partner, supposedly, but I've seen them together. It's more than business. My stomach churned. Does Mom know? Nobody knows anything. He pushed the drive across the table. Except that Dad needs 2 million by Friday, or something bad happens. Really bad. Before I could press further, my phone lit up with Mom's face. Honey, where are you? Ryan's lawyer is here with the transfer papers. What? We haven't even reviewed. Just come home, please. Her voice cracked. Ryan says it has to be today. I ended the call, my hand shaking. What happens Friday? I can't. Ethan stood abruptly. Just look at the files, but be careful. Dad? He's not himself lately. He's desperate. I waited until he left before plugging in the drive. Document after document filled my screen. Bank statements, private emails, photos. Then I saw it. A contract with Sophie's investment firm, dated 3 months ago. Ryan had already promised them the money. My money. The cafe door chimed. I looked up to see a woman in her early 30s, expensive suit, perfectly styled hair. She walked straight to my table. Adeline. She smiled, all white teeth and sharp edges. I'm Sophie. We should talk. My throat went dry. How did you find you? She sat down uninvited. Ethan's phone has a tracking app. Ryan installed it months ago. Sweet kid, but terrible at keeping secrets. I moved to close my laptop, but she placed her hand on it. Before you go, you should know something. Your stepfather owes me $3 million. The two from you, plus interest. If I don't get it by Friday, certain documents about his creative accounting will find their way to the SEC. That's not my problem. It becomes your problem when your mother loses everything. Sophie's smile never wavered. The house, the savings, her reputation, all gone. Ryan made sure everything's in both their names. When he goes down, she goes down. My phone buzzed again. Mom. Where are you? Ryan's getting angry. Sophie stood. You have until Friday. For your mother's sake, make the right choice. I sat there long after she left, staring at the documents that proved Ryan's betrayal. The fake startup, the affair, the financial fraud, all of it designed to trap me into saving him. Another text from Mom. Please come home. He says we're running out of time. I closed the laptop, my decision crystallizing like ice in my veins. Ryan thought he could force my hand by threatening Mom's security, but he'd forgotten something crucial. I was my father's daughter, and Dad had taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy, it's letting them destroy themselves. I drove home, the USB drive heavy in my pocket. In the driveway, I could see Ryan pacing in the living room, gesturing angrily, while his lawyer sat with papers spread across the coffee table. Mom stood by the window, wringing her hands. Before going in, I made 2 calls. First, to my own lawyer, the one Dad had recommended years ago. Then to a private investigator who owed Dad a favor. Ryan wanted to play games with my inheritance? Fine. But he was about to learn that some games have rules he couldn't manipulate, and I had proof of every single one he'd broken. I touched the drive in my pocket, thinking of Sophie's threat, of Mom's fear, of Ethan's guilt. Then I walked inside, ready to start a fire that would burn everything down, including Ryan's carefully constructed web of lies. Let him think he had me cornered. The best traps are the ones you walk into willingly, with your eyes wide open and a match in your hand. The private investigator's report landed in my inbox at 3 a.m. Sleep had become a distant memory anyway, replaced by endless cups of coffee and the constant hum of anxiety. I clicked the attachment, and my world shifted again. Sophie wasn't just Ryan's mistress or business partner. She was a ghost, appearing in different cities, under different names, always connected to financial schemes that left ruins in their wake. And now she had her claws in my family. My phone lit up. Ethan, Dad's office, now, emergency. The drive to Ryan's downtown office felt surreal in the pre-dawn darkness. Security waved me through. They knew me as the dutiful stepdaughter who occasionally brought Ryan lunch. If they only knew. I found Ethan in Ryan's office, frantically searching through files. Look at this! He shoved a document at me. Dad's been forging Mom's signature on everything. The paper trembled in my hands. Loan applications, property transfers, investment authorizations, all with Mom's perfectly forged signature. There's more. Ethan's voice cracked. Sophie's firm, it's not real. None of it's real. And Dad's borrowed money from people you don't want to owe money to. Heavy footsteps in the hallway. We froze. Hide, I whispered, shoving the documents into my bag. Ethan disappeared behind a filing cabinet just as Ryan burst in, Sophie close behind him. Neither noticed me sitting in the dark corner. It has to be today, Sophie hissed. They're not waiting anymore. I know, Ryan paced, running hands through disheveled hair. But she's being difficult. The lawyer says, forget the lawyer. Get the money or everything burns, including your wife's comfortable little life. I shifted slightly, and a paper rustled. They both turned. Adeline? Ryan's face went through a series of expressions. Shock, fear, calculation. What are you doing here? I stood slowly, my heart hammering. Funny, I was about to ask you the same thing. This isn't what it looks like, Sophie started, but I cut her off. Really? Because it looks like you're threatening my family over money you'll never see. Ryan stepped forward. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out my phone, showing them the investigator's report. Sarah Williams in Seattle. Maria Torres in Miami. How many names do you go by, Sophie? The color drained from her face. Ryan looked between us, confusion replacing his usual confidence. You should have researched Dad better, I continued. He had friends everywhere, including in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Sophie's composure cracked. You're bluffing. Try me. I moved toward the door. You have 24 hours to disappear. After that, everything I have goes to the feds. You can't. Ryan grabbed my arm. Your mother will survive. I yanked free. Unlike you, I actually care about protecting her. A noise from the filing cabinet made Ryan turn. What was that? Probably rats, I said. This place seems full of them. I walked out, my legs shaking, but my spine steel straight. In my bag, the evidence felt like a bomb waiting to detonate. But I wasn't done. Not yet. My phone buzzed, Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. First, I needed to make copies of everything. Digital and physical backups, stored in multiple locations. Ryan had taught me that much at least. Always have leverage. The sun was rising as I drove home, casting long shadows across the city. In my rearview mirror, I saw Ethan slip out of the building. He'd heard everything. Now he had to choose. Stand with his father or stand with the truth. Another call from Mom. Honey, Ryan's acting strange. He says something happened at the office. What's going on? I pulled over, watching early morning joggers pass by, their normal lives untouched by the chaos in mine. The truth would hurt Mom, shatter her world. But lies had already done that. She just didn't know it yet. I'm coming over, I told her. We need to talk. It was time to stop protecting her from the truth and start protecting her from Ryan. Sometimes love means letting the flames burn away the rot, even if it scorches everything else in the process. I touched Dad's letter in my pocket, his words about strength and independence taking on new meaning. The game had changed. Now I wasn't just fighting for my inheritance, I was fighting for my mother's future. And this time, I had nothing left to lose. The recording device felt heavy in my pocket as I watched Ryan and Sophie through the restaurant's window. They sat close, heads together, unaware of my presence across the street. My hands shook as I checked the receiver's signal strength one last time. You shouldn't be here. Ethan's voice made me jump. He stood in the shadow of a doorway, looking as haunted as I felt. Neither should you. Dad knows something's wrong. He moved closer, keeping his voice low. He's been shredding documents all morning, and Mom, what about her? She found something in his study. I don't know what, but they had a huge fight. She's not answering her phone. My stomach lurched. The receiver crackled to life, Sophie's voice cutting through the static. The transfer has to happen tomorrow. No exceptions. I need more time. Ryan's voice, desperate. Laura's asking questions. If she finds out about the other accounts. That's your problem. My clients aren't as patient as I am. I adjusted the volume, but Ethan grabbed my wrist. Stop! Please! You don't know what he's capable of. Do you? I pulled away. Because I found the restraining orders. 3 different women, 3 different states. Your father's not just a con man, Ethan. He's dangerous. The color drained from his face. What restraining orders? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Mom's text made my blood freeze. Found papers in Ryan's office, meeting him for dinner to discuss. Don't worry, everything will be fine. She can't meet him alone. I shoved the receiver at Ethan. Keep recording. I have to stop her. Adeline, wait. But I was already running to my car. The drive to Mom's favorite restaurant was a blur of red lights and horn blasts. I found her sitting alone at an outside table, staring at a manila envelope. Mom, did you know? She looked up, her eyes red. About the forgeries? I sank into the chair beside her. How much did you find? Enough! Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Bank transfers, loan applications, property liens, all with my signature, except I never signed any of them. We need to leave, now. I trusted him. Her voice cracked. After your father died, I thought Ryan was our second chance. Movement caught my eye. Ryan was crossing the street from the other restaurant, Sophie watching from the window. He hadn't seen us yet. Mom, please. I have to hear his explanation. She stood up, waving to Ryan. Maybe there's a reason. The reason is he's been playing us both. I grabbed her arm. Him and Sophie, they're working together. They've done this before. Sophie. Mom's face went pale. How do you know that name? The receiver in my pocket crackled again, Sophie's voice carrying clearly. If Laura becomes a problem, there are ways to handle it. My clients can be very persuasive. Mom heard it too. Her hand flew to her mouth. Well, isn't this cozy? Ryan's voice right behind us. Family meeting without me? I turned slowly. He stood there, smile fixed, eyes cold. Behind him, Sophie was crossing the street, phone in hand. Ryan! Mom's voice was steady now. Who is Sophie? His smile didn't waver. Sweetheart, whatever you think you found, I found everything. She slapped the envelope on the table. Every forged signature, every stolen dollar. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? Actually, Sophie stepped up beside him, we were counting on it. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, get out now. Dad's not alone. 2 men watching from a black SUV. I scanned the street, spotting the vehicle. The windows lowered slightly, revealing faces I never wanted to see in my nightmares. Mom, I whispered, we need to go. Nobody's going anywhere. Ryan's hand slipped into his jacket. Not until we discuss this like family. The word family twisted in my gut like a knife. I thought I'd been clever, gathering evidence, planning my revenge. But I'd underestimated Ryan's desperation and the depths he'd sink to protect his schemes. The SUV's engine rumbled to life. Sometimes revenge isn't worth the cost, but sometimes you don't have a choice. I reached for my phone, my finger hovering over the emergency contact I'd hoped never to use, Dad's old friend at the FBI. One call would set everything in motion, but there would be no going back. The question was, could I live with the consequences? I pressed the emergency call button just as the black SUV's doors opened. 2 men in dark suits emerged, moving with practiced efficiency. Ryan's smile widened. Last chance, Adeline. We can still handle this privately. Mom gripped my arm. Whatever you're planning, don't. The rest of her words vanished in the chaos that erupted. Ethan burst from around the corner, shoving past Sophie, a USB drive clutched in his hand. I have everything, he shouted. The real accounts, the transfers, all of it. Ryan's composure shattered. He lunged for Ethan, but Mom stepped between them. The manila envelope scattered, papers flying across the sidewalk like autumn leaves. FBI, everyone freeze! The agents appeared too late. One of the men from the SUV grabbed Mom, while the other reached for Ethan. Sophie was already running, her heels clicking against the pavement. Drop it! Ryan's voice cracked like a whip. I turned to see him pointing a gun at Ethan. The drive. Now. My brother's hand shook as he held out the USB. Ryan snatched it, backing away. Get them in the car. No. I moved toward Mom, but the man holding her pressed something against her side. The message was clear. Ryan! Mom's voice trembled. Please don't do this. You did this, he snarled at me. I gave you every chance to play along, to be family. The FBI agents had their weapons drawn, but they were too exposed. Too many civilians, too many variables. Ryan knew it too. Lower your weapons, he called out, or this gets messy. Time slowed. I saw Mom's terror, Ethan's guilt, the agent's frustration. All my careful plans, all my evidence, worthless now. Ryan had turned my revenge into his victory. Wait. I stepped forward, hands raised. The inheritance. You can have it all. Just let them go. Ryan laughed, harsh and hollow. You still don't get it. This was never about your money. This was about power, control. Something your father never understood either. The words hit like physical blows. What are you talking about? Why do you think he changed his will? Made you wait until 24? Ryan's eyes gleamed with malice. He knew about me, about Sophie. He tried to warn the authorities, but we were always one step ahead. Just like now. Mom's sob cut through the air. You killed him? Heart attacks are so common in stressed executives. Ryan shrugged. Especially when their medication gets adjusted. The world tilted. Dad's death, my inheritance, Ryan's marriage to Mom. It was all connected, all planned. The car, now, Ryan gestured with the gun. Family road trip. I looked at the FBI agents, silently pleading. But they were backing off, following protocol. No risks with hostages. Adeline, Ethan whispered. I'm sorry. The USB, it's blank. Of course it was. The real evidence was still in my apartment, hidden where I thought it would be safe, where it was completely useless. Ryan herded us toward the SUV, his gun now concealed, but still present. Sophie has a private plane waiting. We'll sort everything out once we're airborne. Mom stumbled, and I caught her arm. Her skin was ice cold. I trusted him, she whispered. After everything with your father, I trusted him. The SUV's door opened like a mouth ready to swallow us whole. My phone buzzed one final time, probably the FBI's backup arriving too late. But it wasn't the FBI. It was an email notification, the sender's name making my heart stop. Dad's lawyer. Time's up, Ryan said. Get in. I looked at Mom, at Ethan, at the life Ryan was about to destroy. Dad had died trying to protect us from this man. Now I was about to fail at the same task. Unless. You're right, I said quietly. About Dad. About control. I reached for the car door. But you forgot something important. And what's that? I met his eyes, seeing for the first time not a monster, but a desperate man clinging to his illusions of power. Dad taught me to always have a backup plan. The email's subject line flashed in my mind. Contingency protocol activated. 24 hours elapsed. Sometimes revenge isn't about winning. Sometimes it's about being willing to lose everything to make sure your enemy loses more. I got into the SUV, my hand brushing against the emergency tracker hidden in my watch. Dad's final gift wasn't just money. It was a lesson about patience, about sacrifice, about justice. Ryan thought he had won. But the game wasn't over. It was just moving to a different playing field. The private airfield stretched out before us, empty except for a sleek jet waiting on the tarmac. Ryan kept the gun pressed against Mom's side as we walked, his other hand gripping my arm. Ethan trudged ahead, shoulders slumped in defeat. Sophie's waiting inside, Ryan said. Once we're airborne, we'll discuss your new inheritance arrangements. A phone buzzed. Ryan tensed, but it was his own device. He checked it one-handed, his face darkening. Impossible. I knew what he was seeing. Dad's contingency plan, activated by my missed check-in. Every document, every recording, Every piece of evidence simultaneously released to the FBI, SEC, and major news outlets. What did you do? He spun me around, gun now pointed at my chest. Ask Dad. I met his gaze. He knew you'd try something like this. The heart attack might have worked, but his failsafes didn't die with him. The jet's door opened. Sophie emerged, tablet in hand. Ryan, we have a problem. The accounts. They're frozen, I finished. All of them. Even the offshore ones Dad tracked before you killed him. Mom gasped. Ethan turned, his eyes wide. The pieces were finally falling into place for them both. You're lying. Ryan's finger tightened on the trigger. Check your phone again. I forced myself to stay still. The evidence is everywhere now. Sophie's other victims are already talking to the authorities. Your entire network is burning. Sophie's heels clicked rapidly down the stairs. We need to go. Now. Not without the money. Ryan grabbed Mom again. Transfer it. All of it. Or she dies. It's too late. I took a step forward. The inheritance was never real. Dad moved everything into a trust months before you killed him. I couldn't access it even if I wanted to. The gun wavered. You're bluffing. Like you bluffed about loving Mom? About wanting to be family? Another step. Dad saw through you, just like I did. Shut up! The gun swung between Mom and me. You think you're so clever, just like him. But he died alone and afraid, and so will you. No! Ethan's voice cut through the tension. She won't. Everything happened at once. Ethan lunged for Ryan's gun arm. Mom broke free, stumbling toward me. Sophie turned to run, but found her path blocked by FBI agents emerging from behind the jet. The gun went off. Time slowed. I saw Ethan falling, red blooming across his shirt. Mom screaming, Sophie raising her hands. And Ryan standing there, the mask finally cracking, showing the terrified man beneath. Drop it! Agents converged from all directions. On your knees! Ryan looked at the gun in his hand, at his son bleeding on the tarmac. For a moment, I saw something human flash across his face. Then it hardened into cold fury. He raised the gun one last time, aiming at me. You're just like your father. Yes, I said quietly. I am. The FBI sniper's shot was precise. Ryan crumpled, the gun clattering away. It was over. I ran to Ethan, pressing my hands against his wound. Stay with me, please. Did we get him? His voice was weak but clear. Did we finally stop him? Mom knelt beside us, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, both of you. I should have seen. Later, I said, as paramedics rushed forward. We'll talk about everything later. Across the tarmac, Sophie was being handcuffed, her composed facade shattered. She caught my eye and mouthed something that looked like, thank you. Maybe she'd been as trapped as we were, in her own way. The paramedics loaded Ethan into an ambulance. The bullet had missed anything vital. He would survive. Mom went with him, leaving me to watch as Ryan was carried away on a stretcher, unconscious but alive. Justice would come through the courts, not a bullet. Dad's lawyer appeared at my side, holding out an envelope. Your father wanted you to have this, after everything was resolved. Inside was a single photo, Dad and me at my college graduation, both of us laughing. On the back, he'd written, Victory isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about protecting what matters most. I looked at Mom in the ambulance, holding Ethan's hand. At the FBI agents collecting evidence that would unravel Ryan's entire network. At the morning sun rising over the airfield, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Dad was right. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, about healing, about rebuilding what Ryan had tried to destroy. It was about family, the real kind. The hospital corridor felt endless as I walked toward Ethan's room, Dad's final letter burning a hole in my pocket. Through the window, I could see Mom sitting beside his bed, both of them laughing at something, a sight I hadn't witnessed in years. I paused at the door, catching the tail end of their conversation. He never told me about the threats, Mom was saying. Your father, I mean. He tried to protect me from everything, just like Adeline did. That's what family does, right? Ethan adjusted his bandaged shoulder. The real kind, anyway. The word family didn't hurt anymore. It had transformed into something new, something earned rather than imposed. I knocked softly and entered. The FBI just called. Sophie's talking. She's named everyone involved in Ryan's schemes, going back years. Mom reached for my hand. And Ryan? Awake, under guard. I squeezed her fingers. He'll recover, but he's facing multiple life sentences. The evidence Dad gathered, it was more than just financial fraud. Other families? Ethan asked. I nodded. Other victims. Other accidents. The silence that followed felt heavy with understanding. Dad hadn't just been protecting us. He'd been trying to stop Ryan from destroying more lives. There's something else. I pulled out the envelope Dad's lawyer had given me. Inside was a key and an address. Dad left a safety deposit box. I thought, maybe we should open it together. The bank was quiet when we arrived, Mom pushing Ethan's wheelchair. The box contained a single USB drive and another letter, this one addressed to all three of us. Dear Laura, Adeline, and Ethan, Mom read aloud, her voice steady. If you're reading this, the truth about Ryan has finally come to light. But that's not why I left this for you. She paused, touching the familiar handwriting. The drive contains something more valuable than evidence. It contains hope. I've established a foundation in all your names, dedicated to helping families recover from financial fraud and domestic deception. The inheritance was never about money. It was about choosing what kind of person you want to be when faced with darkness. Ethan took the drive, turning it over in his hands. He included me, even knowing about Ryan? Especially knowing about Ryan, I said. He saw in you what I eventually saw, someone trying to break free from manipulation. The Foundation's first case, Mom read on, should be the family in Seattle that Sophie mentioned. They lost everything to Ryan's schemes. Show them they're not alone. My throat tightened. Even now, Dad was teaching me about the difference between revenge and justice. There's more, Mom continued. Adeline, your strength isn't in your ability to fight back, but in your capacity to protect others while staying true to yourself. Ethan, your courage in standing up to Ryan proves that we choose our own legacy. And Laura, you taught our daughter how to love fiercely and forgive wisely. Together, you're stronger than any deception. The letter ended with a simple statement. Family isn't about blood or marriage. It's about who stays to help you rebuild after the storm passes. We sat in the bank's private room, letting the words sink in. Through the window, I could see the city skyline. The same view Dad must have had when he wrote this letter, planning not just for our protection, but for our healing. So, Ethan broke the silence, when do we start? Start what? The foundation, helping others. He smiled slightly. Isn't that what family does? Mom wiped her eyes, straightening her shoulders. First, we heal. Then we help others do the same. I thought about Ryan in his hospital bed, surrounded by guards instead of family. About Sophie, finally breaking free from her own web of lies. About Dad, who'd turned his suspicions into a safeguard, not just for us, but for future victims. The drive felt warm in my hand, like a torch being passed. Revenge had brought us here, but it wouldn't define where we went next. Dad was right, I said. It's not about destroying our enemies. It's about rebuilding what they tried to break. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, casting long shadows across the city. But shadows don't seem so dark when you're no longer facing them alone. We had work to do, a different kind of legacy to build, together.